I did have a couple, specifically one bishop at BYU, who was super understanding and super, I look back on it now and I realize, he never tried to change me. He just tried to support me. And I think he could see how I'd sort of given up hope on everything at that point, life and everything. And we used to go to lunch and hang out, and I don't know if he was doing it because he saw desperation or what, but I never felt really judged by him. Afterwards, I got, from my parents and even people I knew in the church or whatever was, we'll just come back to church, and it's the whole thing. As long as you're celibate, you can be a gay Mormon. Well, I don't think God intended us to be celibate. Right. If you believe in God. So, I finally at one point, my mom, who I adore, I said, Mom, if I were a Jew, identifying as Jew, or if I was black, would I go to a Klan meeting? I was trying to put it in terms that she would understand. Right. She's like, okay, I get it. Right. Why would I go where I'm not wanted and loved? And to me, it's painful for me to see young gay kids, especially, who struggle like I did to try to identify as Mormon and be Mormon and be gay. It's personal for everybody. I can't do it. I don't get how you can. It's oil and water. Right. The church says we welcome you, but under our conditions. Right. I mean, I go back and forth, to be honest, because an organization as rich and as powerful as a Mormon church, who actively works to control me and to make sure that my life is not valued in the same way everybody else is in America, is a huge problem for me. What is your opinion about marriage in general, gay marriage, and how would you want to participate? Yeah, and the reason is I know a lot of people, for a long time I thought, I don't care if we have marriage, I just want the same rights. But my view has changed. And I was lucky enough a long time ago, actually when I was first sort of out, to meet Evan Wolfson, who's one of the national leaders of the movement for marriage equality. And I remember asking him a question about same-sex marriage, and he goes, no, we're talking about marriage. We need to take the same sex out of it, because marriage has to be fair and equal for everybody. And it changed the way I perceived it and looked at it. And all this bullshit about civil unions drives me crazy. Let's just give the gays civil unions and appease them, and we can be happy. To me, that's like saying, okay, gay guy in the back of the bus, you can move to the halfway up point, but you still can't ride in the front of the bus. You should be in the back half. Yeah. It's a Rosa Parks thing. It's we'll acknowledge you, but we still don't want you to sit beside us at the front of the bus. And that's unacceptable to me. Right. It's not acceptable. And if marriage were legal, we'd get married. Because it's fair. And because what's unfair is who can get married. Right. And we can't. Right. I can be a heterosexual rapist, child molester, murderer, never pay a tax dollar in my life, and have the right to be married. Right. And have job protections, and have insurance opportunities, benefit opportunities that I don't have as an honest, tax-paying, upstanding citizen. Right. Explain to me where that's fair. I want to understand. I'm trying to understand why people dislike me when they don't know me. I guess it's in a way it's like racism, right? Right. They don't know me. They don't know my character. They don't know who I am. But they don't like me enough to keep me under their heel. Right. To not allow me to live with the same advantages they have. And that I don't get. I don't want this to be taken wrong, but this is like what I call the Provo bubble. When we were at BYU, we lived in that bubble. Right. Right? And it was... Which is by design. Yeah. And I know there's lots and lots of amazing, wonderful people in Provo. But... It's not real. One of the reasons I loved it is because I knew I was told what to say, how to react, what to think, what to do by every lesson we learned in every religious class and everything. And life was easy and simple because I had all the answers in my manuals.
Right.
But the biggest, you know, eye-opener for me was leaving Utah. And I have nothing, I love and adore Utah, but being able to get out of that for me was essential to living and understanding that, you know, sometimes you have to feel bad, and sometimes you have to have your feelings hurt, and sometimes you have to question everything that you thought was good to move to a higher place. I've never really talked about it, but I don't feel bad talking about it. Twice in my life when I seriously considered ending my life. Both times at BYU. Once I really planned it out. And it was because I had gotten to a place where I felt like I had lost hope. You know, everything goes and the last thing left is hope. And I felt like I had lost that. And it was because I didn't have an outlet for feeling gay. I mean, I don't mean sexual outlet, but you know, I knew it was wrong because I had been told my whole life it was wrong. And I had tried so many times to do everything I was supposed to do. I did the counseling, I did the praying, I did the fasting, I did everything. And I still felt attracted to men. And it was unbearable. It became unbearable. And I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to live feeling like I was too weak to control myself, to control my feelings. And that's how I was feeling. And I don't blame the Mormon Church. I don't blame anyone necessarily, but you know, when there's no escape, when you're in the hole and there's no way out, you know, that's the only release, you know, to end your life. And I think the first time I didn't go through with it because I mean, I would just lay on my floor sobbing in my apartment. And there was a night where I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it tonight. And I was just, I mean, I couldn't breathe. I was sobbing so hard. You know, we've all been there at some point. And I really think my dog saved my life that night. I had this amazing bulldog named O'Malley. And O'Malley would just come and you know, dogs are sensitive anyway, and I think animals are very intuitive. But he came and he literally just sort of laid beside me and pressed into me the entire time I was there. And it's, you know, it sounds hokey and corny, but it was enough. I felt enough of something from my sweet little bulldog to get me through that night. And, you know, the next time I thought about doing it was really kind of the same reasons. I didn't really plan it out as well the second time. I just thought, you know, I was so angry, and I'm just so fucking sick of not being good enough and not being strong enough, you know, by the standards of what people were telling me, church leaders. You know, I was too weak. You know, I read my scriptures, I did all that stuff, and it didn't work for me. And I'd love to be able to say it doesn't work for everybody, but I don't know that. All I know is that for me it didn't work. And sometime in between that, my little brother's best friend committed suicide, killed himself. And it was devastating to, of course, my little brother, but a lot of what I saw was how devastating it was to my parents, especially my mom, who didn't even, knew him, but didn't know him that well. But how much pain it caused the people around him really affected me. And that was enough to sort of make me reconsider. And something always happens. And for me, it's always been the arts. You know, my dog saved me the first time. I think it was kind of the arts that saved me the second time, where thank God there was something that inspired me. And I used to spend a lot of times when I was feeling so dark, I'd go to a movie, or I'd go to a play, or I'd go to the museum and try to find something that inspired me, something that made me want to do something with myself or think on a higher level or a better place. And those sort of things saved me.